Hedonistic sustainability, challenging the misconceptions of future living. It is said that within the next 7 years, drastic measures need to be taken to implement bold changes which will stop the climate from having irreversible, catastrophic effects on our planet. It is up to designers to implement these changes, drastic measures which will affect the way we interact with the world and all the spaces around us. All design, no matter what it may be, will have to hold sustainability at the utmost importance, and this will change the world around us. This will be with the aim of improving the quality of our lives, protecting our ecosystems, and preserving our natural resources for future generations. The word sustainable is one which is often carelessly thrown around. This is because the word has been so overused that it has lost its meaning. With this, it is also brought about many negative connotations. This is largely due to the negatively perceived impact that sustainable living has on our lives, where it's been thought of in terms of stopping growth or limiting the quality of our livelihoods. This developed negative conception is what needs to be reconceptualized. One of the many industries which are at the forefront of driving sustainable practices is the built environment. Architects and engineers alike have been tasked to build for a cleaner future. The task has been considered worthy but boring. It has become harder and harder to differentiate different sustainable ideas from each other because there's an unstipulated blueprint of what it means to design in this manner. There's a sense of fear of obligation for both architects and engineers when it comes to eco-friendly design, as they have been forced to believe that there are only certain parameters which make something sustainable. They have been kept in this box-like type of thinking, and it is this box-like type of thinking which we need to change. Let me introduce you to Bjarke Ingels. Bjarke is a Danish architect who's the founder of the Bjarke Ingels Group. He is known worldwide as the architecture wunderkind, and is said that he is charismatic and highly energetic. He is obsessive, and he lets his obsessions drive his imaginative ideas. At the age of 27, doing what most other people wouldn't do, he founded his own architecture practice, and 4 years later led to the world-renowned practice, BIG. Bjarke firstly got noticed in 2005 due to a revolutionary housing block he designed named the VM houses, which rethought communal living as we know it, as it focused on light, privacy, and views. The building broke away from traditional long dark corridors often associated with communal living, and every room has a view into lush green neighboring fields. The building was designed to be lived in, and lived in a way which would provide a great quality of life to every inhabitant. It was revolutionary both in design and function. Since then, Bjarke has been responsible for many groundbreaking designs around the globe, including, to name a few, 2 Google campuses in California, museums around the world including China, buildings across Europe, and many further ones shaping New York's skyline. His most recent one being the Via 57 West, which you see over there. It is revolutionary New York City living, as its open design with a courtyard, following the same principles as a VM house, is really changing it up. Recently, it has completed the Lego house. The Lego house epitomizes what Bjarke is about. It's fun, interactive, and brings Lego to life, allowing visitors to immerse themselves within the toy they loved growing up with. It is a building which is relatable to people of all ages, and gives insights as to what architecture should really be about. With each new project he undertakes, he is said to push the boundaries of reinvention. He is an architect who designs inside out, not outside in, form following function, and the results are groundbreaking. So when people think of climate change, they immediately see it as a problem. Yes, it is a problem, but this is the chain of thought that needs to change. The idea to address the climate not as a problem, but something to lead to many solutions, is what drives Bjarke in his architectural design. He's compulsive about his conquest for reinventing the built environment. It has led to his own definition of what sustainable living should be about. Climates should not be associated with climate change. Instead, however, climates and the change in the climate is the very condition of living on a planet with an atmosphere. Designers just need to be able to think around it. His solution for designing around the ever-changing climate is always thought of with a hedonistic approach. Architecture has become a universal style of modernism. It looks the same everywhere. What people thought used to be clever ideas are not so clever anymore. Buildings have been made to relieve people from the outside world, but instead have shut the outside world out. The buildings around us have become gas-guzzling machines, pumping both light and air into rooms to make them inhabitable. Bjarke wants architecture to respond to the climate, not fight it. He calls it engineering without engines, and it begs the question, how can you use sophisticated engineering to make buildings less reliant on engineering? Hedonistic sustainability can completely change our perception of what living in the future will be like. Spaces in the future have the potential to be much better than what we thought. This type of thinking requires designers to think about structures as self-supporting ecosystems. Bjarke, through his relentless quest for better living, is at the forefront of this revolution, designing completely with a human in mind to provide the best quality of life for as many as possible. Hedonistic sustainability thus transforms the green movement and makes it youthful, dynamic, and egalitarian. It shows that design can be profitable as well as environmentally sustainable. No more need for compromising when going green. When you rid your mindset of these negative thoughts, the opportunities for a greener, better future are endless. Bjarke has pushed his drastic ideas to architecture to the point that they are now defining his whole career. He is currently planning the creation of a new city in America named Tolosa, which will set the global standard for eco-urban living. The aim is to be the most environmentally focused city on Earth and act as one big science project, allowing other designers and scientists around the world to build cities based on it. He's completed numerous projects which resemble his vision for the future, and you can immediately see all his projects have been designed with a human in mind. His buildings are a parody, combining what is usually thought of as bad with something good. One of his first projects being the Copenhagen Harbour bath, providing a sense of community and a safe swimming area in Copenhagen's harbour. Harbours are usually places where you avoid the dirty water at all costs, but this perception has been changed. He has made it much easier for people in Copenhagen to go for a swim. Now there's a communal swimming pool right on their doorstep, using water which is already there. Such a simple idea, but not been done before, bringing people in the city together to enjoy what is around them. A second project of his, and probably his most famous example of a hedonistic, sustainable approach, is the Harbour power plants. Power plants, usually being big and ugly, are always thought of immediately in terms of pollution. He's rewritten the script by building a ski slope on top of this beautifully designed power plant, and further climbing walls going up the side, and CO2 which gets released in circle and balls. Through his fun attitude, he describes it as the only ski slope in the world suitable enough for both bikinis and snow, allowing people to ski down the slope both in summer and winter, turning the power plant into one of the main attractions of the city. And who would have thought when visiting a city, the first place you'd want to go is the power plant? Currently, he's drawing up a master plan for the whole planet to prove that with existing technologies, humans can have a sustainable presence on Earth. The plan he has coined the Master Planet. He stipulates that through a holistic approach to the environment, 10 billion people can have a high quality of life on Earth, again, giving hope for a better future for all. However, he views this as a guidebook and not as an instruction manual, as he acknowledges that his ideas may not be perfect. What it is, though, is a step in the right direction to prove that there's still time to save our planet. We just have to act now. Recently, we have seen the COP26, the UN's climate conference, where leaders come together to discuss our future. It involves politicians from all over the world flying around in their private jets, making false promises about their country's carbon emissions. We cannot leave it up to these leaders to decide what the future holds for us, because this is a future which will most likely not be enjoyable, especially for the everyday individual. We must hold these leaders more accountable, and they must think up cities which are sustainable, but most importantly, enjoyable for all of us. We need revolutionaries such as Bjarke to keep pushing, to show these world leaders and politicians the type of world we want to live in. His approach to designing in this hedonistic, sustainable way for urban life may not be perfect, but what it does do, it gives hope. It pulls away the dark curtains on perceived sustainable living, which resembles the 1970s Russia. It shows that designing for the future can inspire creativity, be fun, inclusive, and allow for many possibilities which one would have not thought as possible. In the next 20 years, the world's going to look very different to what it looks like today. So we cannot tolerate boring spaces which will limit our possibilities. We must question our surroundings. There's so much potential for the world we live in, and I hope today I've made you a bit more excited about what that holds. Thank you.